South Vinyl, stuck between the bars. The strong have scars, but you can never go back. Struggle to survive, and you're still alive. Carry on. Even if you've been misled, tell of your dreams again. Carry on. Even if you can't forget, take a quick look at some of your regrets. Laying out the bricks now, as if you need a wall to stop the fall. Your bones are not even broken yet, so push yourself through without your regret. Carry on. Even if you've been misled, tell of your dreams again. Carry on. Even if you can't forget, take a quick look at some of your regrets. Even if you can't forget, take a quick look and set all your regrets. Let's know better. I won't stop. We're freedom is the call. Downtown, dark red sky. Uncontrollable resistance shows light. Alright, I can't believe your face. I decide God. Tomorrow, we be gone. We're not right. The time is now. Restless minds What?
What's up, guys? It's Chris. How are you doing this Monday morning? I got asked a lot this weekend about what machine is right for me. What machine should I get? And I keep trying to tell people the machine is just the tool. So there are a couple things that go into deciding what machine is right for you. There's your budget. There's your software. There's your available space. There's your materials you'll cut. There's just your ability to learn, and trying to find a good compromise of all of those aspects of things. So when you start talking about what machine is right for me, that's really a loaded question, because it becomes a pissing contest of opinion. And there are guys that will swear by Tormachs, and there are guys that will absolutely go against them, A, because they're not expensive enough, B, because they knew a friend that had an uncle that had a dog that had a cousin that ran one, and it was out of tolerance. It just, when it comes to actually doing a purchase for a machine, it's a very personal transaction. And you'll find that and you'll find that the money you spend on a machine may or may not be beneficial to you, because you didn't buy the proper machine for you. And when you buy that machine, you have to look at everything. You have to look at all the ancillaries, all the accessories, and everything like that. I don't have just one machine. I don't have just one of most of the machines that I have. So, like lasers, we have CO2 lasers and we have diode lasers. In the diode lasers, I have 3 different lasers, 3 different laser companies. In the routers, I have home built, I have X-Carve, and I have CNC for newbies. I've had Joe CNC, I've had AlphaCam CNC, I've had Blue Elephant CNC, I've had Raw CNC, I've had Rover CNC, and stuff like that. So those are all different routers that I've had. And that's not even the complete list of them. And when you look back at it, each one of those machines was in their own individual right, they were a great machine. They were built and they did what they were supposed to do. At times I bitched about the machine because I didn't realize I was buying the wrong machine for my purpose or what I wanted to do. And in doing so, I could possibly give that company a bad name because I messed up, because I didn't do something correctly. I'm blaming the company. I don't feel that that's exactly the right way to do things. I think that when we as consumers buy machines, we have to be cognizant of what are we going to do with the machine, what do they want done with the machine, and how can we find that happy medium. Um, Milling machines. We mentioned Tormach. Uh, there's the Siege series. They're usually the company that makes like the Harbor Freight, the Grizzly, um, the Little Machine Shop mini mills. You can buy those for $500 to $600, not CNC'd. Um, people bitch about those a lot. They're not trimmed, and you have to do work to them. And I look at them and I say, you bought a $500 mill and you expected it to be a Haas that you buy for 40,000. Well, it doesn't trim out right, and this is not the way that this is, and I'm like, okay, you want a stronger mill, put a composite epoxy in it, strengthen the frame, strengthen it up. Well, I shouldn't have to do that. Well, you shouldn't have to do that if you spend $40,000 on a machine. If you spend $500 on a machine, you have to make concessions. There's a reason. It's a small footprint. It's got lead screws instead of ball screws. It has dovetail ways instead of linear rails. Its way covers are just a piece of plastic thrown over top of the ways. It's a gear driven spindle, very loud, very heavy. All of that stuff comes together, and you really don't have a great machine. But if you know how to lap the ways, and you know how to actually make the machine work for you, you can get a very well toleranced, and by well toleranced, I mean, in some cases, if you take the time, you can get a plus minus 2000s machine. So you're not going to make aerospace parts on it, but it's good enough to make knives. It's good enough to make a lot of accessory parts for motorcycles and frames and stuff like that. Stuff that you would need smaller steel pieces for. And I think that's where a lot of people get it messed up, is they don't understand that you have to spend the money to get an out of the box working, no holds barred machine. The problem is in our society, and I'm guilty of it too, everybody's looking for the best deal, and they look at the money aspect of it above all else. And $500 versus $40,000 sounds like a great deal. Well, it's the adage, it's too good to be true. You're not going to get the same machine. My mini mill, after it was all said and done, it was probably a year-long project and cost me, I would say, in the ballpark of less than $2,000 to buy the mill, get it as a half-assed machine, and then CNC it, and then get that tuned in. The benefit of that is I was able to nickel and dime it. So if I got $20 here, I bought a piece of aluminum and made the X-axis mount. If I got a couple bucks here, I bought the ball screws. If I got a couple bucks here, I bought the ball nuts. and I pieced it together on a shoestring. The same way with like the X-Carve coming up. So we upgraded the X-Carve to a large format, to a 2000 millimeter or 1500 millimeter cut area. So it's 1500 millimeters long, and we did the 1500 millimeters wide. That's pretty nice, pretty big, but I had to make concessions. Like you have to buy belts that are long enough for it. Well, I did the initial build of it as a proof of concept. Now I know I can get that size out of it. What I'm doing is I'm beefing up the extrusion. So I'm going with a 2080 side extrusion, and I'm going to beef up the actual we got Mark Rush in the house. How you doing, Mark? I hope you're having a good day. But we're beefing up the side extrusions to put on linear rails in a rack and pinion system. Okay, so I pretty much have already done away with every part of the X-Carve that I started with, whether it be aftermarket straight fit parts or I just replaced the actual factory pieces with better pieces. If I replace the factory pieces with completely new pieces, I honestly, I'm trying to think what all's left of the X-Carve, and off the top of my head, the only thing left from the X-Carve that I can think of right now is the X-axis mount, the gantry trolley, and the Y-axis plates. And other than that's all that's left. I replaced the controller. I built the controller. I replaced all the rails and everything like that. The Z-axis, the spindle mount, the everything like that. Like I looked at TBD CNC, looked at what they had to offer, and I put that stuff on the machine to make it a better machine. So I bought a base machine that was very inexpensive. I spent a few $100s and upgraded a few things and got a better machine. And then I said, okay, let's use the machine to upgrade itself. And I started doing upgrades from the machine to make the machine better. Should I have bought a better machine to start with? Yes. If my plan was to go right into production and not do any upgrades or anything like that. When I bought that machine, I knew I wanted a CNC router that was going to be inexpensive, that I could throw a laser on, and I could make a few wooden parts. When I bought that CNC router, I honestly had no idea that was going to become a mainstay machine in the shop. So should I have bought a better machine to start with? Yes. Did I play that right? Yes, because now I have a machine that does everything that I want it to do, and it's becoming my machine. So it's no longer an X-Carve, it's now my machine, because I've replaced everything on it to what I wanted. I've I've spent more on that machine. I could have bought 2 of those machines for what I've spent in upgrades. Um, that seems kind of counterintuitive, but at the time, I knew what my budget was, I knew what my size format was, and I knew what I wanted to do with it. So I did it. I bought that machine, and it's progressed along doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Now, the CNC for Newbies machine is everything that I wish the X-Carve would have been for the price that the X-Carve was. But it's not going to happen. I got a 4x8 format. I've got a UC CNC controller. I've got a, let's see. Mark says he made me rub my head. Yeah, you said bald, and I was like, yeah, I guess I am. And Jerry says, what's up? And I say, what's up, Jerry? So the CNC for Newbies machine is so much better from that standpoint, as a machine standpoint, but it's also much more expensive than the X-Carve, and it takes up a larger footprint in a shop, you know. So you have to look at all of those factors. I don't know what the X-Carve is now. Whenever I bought the X-Carve, it was $1,700. So $1,700 versus $6,900. There's a big gap there. But there's really not a big gap there because you're not comparing the same machines. Okay? So when you ask me, what machine should I get? Well, I've got a couple questions for you. The very first thing is, I'm going to say CNC for Newbies 4x8 rack and pinion machine. Why? Because to me, that's the best bang for the buck for CNC router. I've used it, I've ran it hard, and I've done incredible things with it. Now, does that mean that that's the right machine for you? No, because you may be working out of your basement, and you may only have a 60-inch by 60-inch footprint area that you can put a router. Okay, then that's not the right machine for you. You may have a budget of $3,000. Well, at $6,900, you're getting a beast of a machine, but that breaks your budget. So as you start doing these things, as you start seeing these things, you see, like, there's so much more that you have to look at than just the price tag. 3D printers. I've had printer bots. I've had ANET A8s. I've had Sunlu S8s. My preference is a second gen Sunlu S8. Why? Because I use them, I run them, and they work. Other people are like, Ender 3 all the way. It's the best bang for the buck. It very well could be. I haven't ran them, so I'm not going to be able to tell you what they can do and what they can't do, because I haven't been able to do that. 3D printing is not my thing. If you ask me what 3D printer, I'm just going to say I have Sunlu S8s. I like them. And then I'm going to say, maybe you should talk to Pied Piper and Carlito. Maybe you should talk to Phil Johnson. they all have, so Pied Piper and Carlito, they have, I think between the two of them, they have like 22 3D printers and like 7 or 8 different companies. So they would be more versed in talking to you about 3D printers. And that's where I'm going to send you. And that's what I'm going to tell you is like, this is where you want to be. This is what you want to do. So when somebody emails me or messages me and says, hey, I want to do a machine, what machine should I get? There's a whole conversation that has to be had about those. And you just go from there. This is one of those topics where I can go down a rabbit hole. We're getting ready to put together a CNC lathe. It's a 7x14. It's like a Harbor Freight open box special. The headstock is not aligned to the tailstock, so I've got to take all that off. I figure while I'm taking that off, I'll lap all the ways and I'll put a CNC conversion on it, and I'll have a small CNC lathe in the shop. That seems like the proper thing to do to me. It could be, it could not be. I could be making a huge mistake with it, but I think that right now that's exactly what I need and where I need it. So that's what I'm going to do with it, and just kind of go from there. So as you guys start expanding your shops or looking to expand your shops, those are some things that you want to look at: is budget, footprint size, accessories, production, like actual production you're going to do with it. What materials? Do you have one material or a vast array of materials? Accessories. Can you upgrade it to a spindle? Can you upgrade the router? Can you get different attachments for it? Your footprint. Do you have 60 by 60 inches to put the machine on, or do you have 12 foot by 12 foot? Budget. Do you need to spend $1,700 or do you need to spend $7,000? These are all questions that need to be answered, and you need to figure out, is that the right machine for you? It does you no good to buy a Blue Elephant Chinese router and only have a Chinese control box. Like the Chinese language, it doesn't have an English language converter. It just doesn't happen. It's not a good fit for you if you're in, Pennsylvania. There's very few Chinese families right in my area that could help me translate the control box. And then I'm going to have to make all these different control screens additions. So, think about all of that stuff when you're looking at buying a machine. A Haas machine that's $40,000 sounds like a ton of money when you can get a Tormach for $20,000. But the tolerances that the Haas machine's going to hold over a Tormach are going to be faster and easier to attain. Not saying the Tormach can't do it, but you're going to have to do a couple kiss cuts to make that part toleranced to the Haas tolerances. where the Haas can hog it out and do one kiss pass and take care of deflection. Hammerhead says, "Good morning, sir." And consumables. Consumables are one of those things. Excuse me. Consumables are one of those things that, you know, how fast do the plasma cutters go through consumables? Well, my plasma cutter goes through consumables very slow. It's a Hypertherm. They've got everything figured out. As long as I use Hypertherm branded licensed consumables, I'm good to go. If I put the Chinese knockoffs in, then they wear out really fast. I usually get less than a sheet of cut out of it. If I put Hypertherm consumables in, I can run upwards of 100 sheets before I have to change major consumables. I can run, I don't know, 4 or 5 sheets on an electrode before I have to change it. 4 or 5 4x8 sheets. That's a lot of cutting. So that's where we're at with it. And we froze up there for a second. We should be back. But those are just different things that you have to look at and think about. All right, sorry about that. My internet just went down like out of nowhere. But those are things that you have to think about whenever you're buying a machine to make it work, and to get the machine that you need and want. And you may have to make concessions and start out with a machine that's not going to give you exactly what you want, and then upgrade it from there. And when you do that, you'll end up with something you'll be happy with, and hopefully you'll be able to make a lot of money with. So with that being said, that's my spiel on machines this morning. We got some things coming through. We got people wanting to come to the shop. We got some questions coming through on some other parts, and asking questions on machines, and really like that. So I was asked if I could make a foot peg similar to what someone else made. And I like the idea of trying that. So let's see what we can do. All right, let's screen share application. Okay. So this is a foot peg design. Okay. So I'm trying to get the crown area all taken care of and get the proper split. My brain hurts today. Not having a good day. Trying to make things happen, but man, when your brain is not processing stuff like you're used to, it makes it pretty rough. Let's see. I find it hard to remember the steps that I'm taking and the steps that I'm doing for stuff. All right. Okay. All right, now let's offset that by 1.25. We're gonna, nope. Well, I guess that would be it. All right. And what I'm trying to do right now is get everything moved into the proper cut areas for sizing. So it's a matter of scaling and all right. So we're going to scale that a little bit more. Let's there's that and that. That looks good. Okay. Okay. That looks like I could make it work. Really would like to see that back more. Okay. So we'll take that. We'll do a line N. N. Then we'll come in here. Like that. We're just doing a brush movement here. And we'll clear that like that. And we're going to do a little bit here. To clean that edge up like that. And we're going to open this up a little bit. ZN. All right. Let's see here. Okay, we got it. We got a cool little foot peg we can make. Here's the original. So that's real thin there. That's opened up a little bit more. So let's see what we've got here. We want that. And go to desktop. And we want this. So let's go to stop screen share. So now we're going to weld that. I got enough meat there to weld 2. Maybe move that down some. If we do a offset like that, 20 thousandths. And then we clear that. Join that. There we go. There's some. That seems like that would be pretty nice. Brush point 1. Let's offset that by 0.01. Offset that by 0.005. Offset that by 0.005. Okay. Now we'll take LN, line that up, cross out of that, trim that. And we have that. Now, if we look at that with that picture, that's the part right there that we're gonna cut. That actually does not look bad at all. Looks like we're going to get a pretty good cut. Now I'll make a measurement here of the bear trap. We're going to add a fillet 0.1. Okay. And now I'll just take a measurement from here to here, F8, and I'll write that down. That's 2.437. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need 6 points on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that needs to be 2437. So now I can join that. I can lay out a line. Offset 2.437. Control. That lays out that. Okay. Now I need to figure out how high they are, and I need to have 6 points evenly spaced. And when you have the points evenly spaced, that is when this will match up right. And then I'll just TIG weld it together and I'll have my foot peg. But then I need to make sure that I have this piece right here going into it. So what I'll do is I'll actually probably plasma cut this piece, and then I'll mill a little relief on it so that I can put the peg on there and weld it to the back, because I don't think I have any pictures of the back of this. I saved a ton of these. Saved a ton of these pictures trying to make sure I knew what I was making. And in doing so, I don't know that I will be able to replicate that exact. But it is what it is. We'll get it figured out and go from there. So that's your tutorial section for today. We'll be plasma cutting these and going from there. All right. Have a good one.